Okay, strap in because today we are diving headfirst into the swirling, constantly evolving world of AI. You obviously have some interest in this stuff, and luckily, this article, 11 New Technologies in AI, All Trends of 2023-2024, is jam-packed with fascinating insights. But here's the catch. We're not just going to list off these trends, we want to figure out what they actually mean for you, for all of us, really.
And that's the key, isn't it? We're past the point of wondering if AI is going to be big. It already is big. This article throws around a staggering number. The
Yeah.
AI market is projected to hit a whopping $1 trillion by 2030. That's up from about $150 billion today, which is already nothing to sneeze at. But those raw numbers, while impressive, don't tell the whole story.
Exactly. It's easy to get caught up in the hype, but what we really want to know is how this impacts our lives, right? I mean, the World Economic Forum is predicting AI will create 50 million new jobs by 2030. That's a huge potential workforce springing up around this technology. But it also begs the question, what kind of jobs? And what happens to the jobs that AI might replace?
It's a crucial point. This isn't about some simple equation of robots stealing jobs. It's about understanding that the nature of work itself is being redefined. Think about it. What if instead of fearing AI, we viewed it as a tool to take over the tasks we find tedious, freeing us up for more creative and strategic work?
It's that whole work smarter, not harder idea, but on a massive scale. And speaking of working smarter, let's talk about GPT. Now, we've all heard about it, maybe even played around with ChatGPT, but this article takes us beyond the buzzwords. Did you know 92% of Fortune 500 companies are already using OpenAI products? Clearly, businesses are not just dipping their toes in the AI waters, they're diving right in.
And for good reason. The evolution of GPT, from those early, somewhat clunky chatbots to what we have now with GPT-4, is pretty remarkable. The sheer scale of these models, we're talking billions of parameters, gives them an incredible ability not just to understand, but to generate human-quality text. Think about the implications for things like content creation, translation, even writing code.
It's mind-blowing. And it's not just about writing emails or blog posts. This article mentions how GPT could even write a research abstract like the one we were just looking at. It makes you wonder, in a few years, will we even be able to tell the difference between human-created content and AI-generated content?
It's a question that leads us to another fascinating area, GANs, or Generative Adversarial Networks. Remember that AI-generated portrait that sold for over $432,000 a few years back? That was a GAN at work. These networks are essentially in a constant state of competition, one generating, the other evaluating, pushing each other to create increasingly realistic outputs.
It's like having two rival artists locked in a studio constantly trying to outdo each other. But instead of paint and canvas, they're using algorithms and data. And the results, as we've seen, can be pretty impressive. Imagine AI designing not just art, but clothes, furniture, entire virtual worlds, all with a level of detail and realism that rivals anything created by humans.
And that's where it gets really interesting, because if AI can create things that are indistinguishable from human creations, what does that mean for industries like fashion, design, even entertainment? It's both exciting and a little bit unsettling to think about.
Right, it's like this underlying current of, okay, this is cool, but where does it leave us? And that leads to another point the article brings up, explainable AI, or XAI. Because let's face it, one of the big concerns with AI is that it can feel like a black box. We put data in, we get results out, but we don't always understand the why behind those results.
Exactly. And that lack of transparency can be a barrier, especially in fields like healthcare or finance where trust is paramount.
Hmm.
Imagine being diagnosed with an illness by an AI doctor. You'd want to know how it arrived at that diagnosis, wouldn't you? XAI is all about making the decision-making process of AI systems clearer, more transparent.
So it's not just about making AI smarter, it's about making it more understandable, more relatable to us humans. It's like AI needs to learn to show its work so we can trust its conclusions.
Precisely. And this idea of AI understanding us, interacting with us on a deeper level, brings us to another major trend, natural language processing, or NLP. This is the technology that powers things like Siri and Alexa, those ever-present virtual assistants that we've all come to rely on.
And speaking of relying on them, did you know that the NLP market is absolutely exploding? It's projected to be worth billions of dollars in just a few years. And it's not just about asking our devices for the weather or setting reminders. NLP is transforming how businesses operate, from automating customer service to providing real-time translation to even writing code.
And that's just scratching the surface. As NLP continues to evolve, we can expect to see even more sophisticated AI-powered tools that will further blur the lines between human and machine communication.
All this talk about AI understanding us, It really makes you think about the future of healthcare. This article mentions AI is already being used to read medical images, often with greater accuracy than human doctors. And you know me, I'd love a second opinion any day, especially if it means catching something early.
And it's not just about accuracy, though that's obviously critical in healthcare. It's about accessibility, too. Think back to the pandemic, everyone suddenly thrust into telehealth. Now, AI-powered platforms have the potential to make quality healthcare available to so many more people. People in remote areas, underserved communities. It's like having a whole team of specialists virtually right at your fingertips.
That's incredible when you think about it.
Yeah.
And that actually leads us to another point this article brings up, something that might seem a little sci-fi, but it's very real. Biometrics. Now, we all know fingerprint sensors, those are everywhere. But with AI, biometrics are going way beyond that. We're talking facial recognition, voice analysis, even gait
It is
analysis.
analysis.
Yeah, AI that can identify you by how you walk.
Wow, imagine that. Your walk being as unique as your fingerprint.
Right. It's pretty wild. And it's not just about unlocking your phone either. It's being used to combat fraud, too.
That makes sense, actually. AI analyzing those little patterns in our behavior, things we might not even be aware of. I mean, you can't argue that there isn't a lot more security built into our online lives these days.
It's almost as if we're leaving these digital trails everywhere we go, and AI is learning to follow them. But of course, that does make you wonder about the privacy implications. How unique is our behavior, really?
Right, right. It's a valid concern, something we definitely have to consider as these technologies keep getting more and more advanced. I mean, how we move, how we type, even the websites we visit, they all say something about who we are.
Absolutely. And that brings us to a real-world example. The article highlights something a little closer to home, maybe? Have you heard of Evenflow AI?
Evenflow AI rings a bell, but refresh my memory.
So Evenflow AI is a platform that uses, you guessed it, AI to schedule car maintenance appointments.
Okay, yeah, that was the one where they used dynamic pricing, right?
Yeah,
Kind of like how airlines work. You get a better deal if you're flexible with your appointment time.
exactly. It's a win-win, Helps the customer, helps the business. I don't know about you, but I'd much rather have an AI find me the best deal than have to call around to a bunch of mechanics. So we've covered a lot of ground here, but we've only really just scratched the surface of these 11 AI trends. Ready for a quickfire round?
Hit me.
Okay, let's do it. Up first, we have reinforcement learning, or RL for short. Think of it like this. AI learning through trial and error. The more it does something, the better it gets. Like those self-driving cars are constantly learning from every single trip.
Right, right. It's actually kind of unnerving when you really think about it, all that learning happening in the background.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, next up is predictive AI analytics. This one's all about, well, analyzing data to spot those hidden patterns and trends, then using that information to make predictions. Businesses are using it for everything from like sales forecasting to optimizing their operations.
It's like having a crystal ball, but instead of magic, it's data. Speaking of data, let's not forget about those trusty virtual assistants and chatbots. They're not just there to answer our questions or set reminders anymore, are they?
Definitely not. It's getting to the point where they're practically becoming virtual coworkers, helping us manage our calendars, even make personalized recommendations. They're becoming so much more integrated into our daily lives.
And they just keep getting smarter, too, learning our preferences, anticipating our needs. It's incredible how quickly things are evolving.
It really is. All right, next up, we have another big one. AI, revolutionizing the world of sales and marketing.
Oh, yeah, this is the biggie. Hyper-personalization, that's the name of the game now. Reaching consumers with messages and recommendations tailored specifically to them. Think about the ads you see online now. It's like they know what you're thinking before you do.
A little creepy, right? Like, how did they know I was looking at those shoes?
It's all about the data.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our last, but certainly not least, AI trend. Data analytics.
The real powerhouse behind it all. We are swimming in data these days. I mean, oceans of the stuff. And AI is learning to dive into those oceans, find those hidden insights that we humans might miss entirely.
It's not just about finding the insights, though. It's about making sense of them, presenting them in a way that everyone can grasp.
Enter AI-driven data visualization tools, turning those complex numbers and figures into stories that anyone can understand.
And that's what makes it so powerful, right? Making these complex ideas accessible to everyone so we can all be part of this AI revolution.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from AI doctors to AI artists, algorithms that can predict the future. It's mind-blowing stuff.
It really is. And the thing is, we've only just scratched the surface. This isn't some far-off future we're talking about. It's happening right now. The way we work, create, even understand ourselves, it's all being reshaped by AI.
And that's what makes it so fascinating and a little bit daunting, maybe. It's like we're standing at the edge of something truly transformative, and it's up to us to figure out how to navigate it all.
Exactly. And that's why it's more important than ever to stay informed, stay engaged. We need to keep asking those tough questions about how these technologies are being developed, how they're being used, what it all means for us.
Couldn't agree more. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of AI, I'm curious, what stood out to you the most? What felt exciting? What felt concerning? Or maybe even a little bit scary? AI is here to stay, and it's only going to become a bigger part of our lives in the years to come. Keep those questions coming, keep exploring these ideas, and as always, thanks for joining us on the deep dive.